Interpreter is Michael Maithia. We have a lot in line for you tonight, but first, the headlines.
It is not a must, it is not a condition that William Ruto or anybody must be president.
Deputy President William Ruto responds to President Kenyatta, claiming that he supported his presidential bid twice based on development agendas and not his ethnic background. And Mombasa County government urges the striking health workers to return to work even as the health situation worsens. Teachers have been asked to use this year's national elections to revamp their trade union. We are live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. On YouTube, we are live as Switch TV News. Send in your feedback to our SMS line 111 444 111 and at Switch TV Kenya and at Lincoln Ombogo. The race for Nairobi's gubernatorial top job was today heated at a church service attended by Deputy President William Ruto, where he officially announced he will support UDA's candidate Bishop Margaret Wanjiru. The party, which is linked Deputy President William Ruto, unveiled Wanjiru as its flag bearer in the February 18th by-election. The Nairobi by-election may be, however, delayed pending court decisions.
We want to have a conversation about every hustle. Have a conversation about empowerment and opportunity for ordinary people to chase their dreams as well.
Deputy President William Ruto has dismissed assertions that a candidate's ethnic background could play a role when Kenyans head to the polls in 2022 to elect President Uhuru Kenyatta's successor as divisive. Ruto and his allies hit out at President for what they have branded as driving politics of tribalism. Daniel Karaoke with the details.
Deputy President William Ruto today again seemed to be reminding the nation of his official position as the Deputy President of Kenya at a church service where he was replying to remarks made by President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday in Vihiga during Mama Hannah's burial, saying the narrative from Uhuru's remarks are dragging back the country to backward politics of tribalism.
Hata mimi naweza nisimame hapa basi niseme kuna jamii tu mbili za Kenya ambazo zimetawala, labda ni nafasi ya jamii nyingine pia kutawala.
Lazima tubadilishe msingi wa siasa ya Kenya. Tuondoe siasa ya ukabila na chuki na migawanyiko. Tuweke siasa ya sera ya maendeleo na kubadilisha maisha ya Wakenya.
Ruto says he thrice supported Uhuru Kenyatta, knowing well he was from the Kikuyu community and was the son of a former president. Further saying the next head of state will be elected on policies and not based on their ethnicity.
Na wakati mimi niliamua ya kwamba nitamuunga mkono Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta awe rais wa 4 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, watu wengi wakiwemo wale walikuwa mazishi jana waliniambia ya kwamba hakuna vile wewe unaweza kuunga mkono Uhuru Kenyatta kwa sababu yeye alikuwa eti ni Mkikuyu kama Mwai Kibaki ambaye alikuwa ofisini.
Hivyo tungemuomba yeye aweze kusikiria kama Mwai Kibaki, awache kiwanja ikiwa wazi.
Mimi naomba rais, jana vile vitu uliongea rais kabisa ya ukweli, hata kama mimi ni mtu wa nyuma huko nimekuhurumia. Na I have looked at you, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and I don't know, the one we used to work together and this one, nikashindwa, is it the right person ama somebody cloned the right president na akaenda wapi?
The DP further faulted the BB train that is filling up to go to the county assemblies at a verification of signatures, saying the report still lacks enough salt favoring the taste of the common mwananchi.
It is not a must. It is not a condition that William Ruto or anybody must be president, but it is a must that we must all sit on the table. What the Hustler Nation is about, it is not a threat to anybody, it is not incitement of any nature. We are just going to have a honest conversation, all of us on a table, so that we can agree on how to move Kenya forward.
I want to tell that team, their only destiny is defeat.
a hustler nation narrative that was also witnessed during the launch of the UDA party, a party that is closely linked to the deputy president. Daniel Kariuki for Switch TV.
Thank you, Daniel Kariuki. President Kenyatta's remarks on tribal politics have been received with mixed reactions among Kenyans. President Kenyatta, who spoke in Vihiga during the burial of Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi's mother Hannah yesterday, said leadership does not necessarily have to rotate around the communities of Kikuyu and Kalenjin. Here's Majibu Kitsau's story on the same.
Kenyans have voiced out their thoughts on President Kenyatta's sentiments on tribal politics in Vihiga yesterday. In what seemed to be an outrage towards his deputy William Ruto, who hails from one of the bigger communities in Kenya, Kenyatta said that Kenya does not necessarily need to be ruled by two communities.
Logic. Hata mimi naweza nisimame hapa basi niseme kuna jamii tu mbili za Kenya ambazo zimetawala, labda ni nafasi ya jamii nyingine pia kutawala.
Kenyatta was speaking this during the burial of Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi's mother, Hannah Asizange Mudavadi. Kenyans have, however, reacted on the same, with some applauding the head of state for his remarks, adding that it is high time for Kenya to shun tribal politics in the country.
Jana nimefuatilia speech ya Mheshimiwa Rais Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Amefurahisha Wakenya wote wa tabaka mbalimbali, kuanzia kwa vijana mpaka wazee. Alituambia hii Kenya vile ameangalia, hii Kenya iko na makabila 42 na ni kabila mbili tu zimeshaiongoza hii Kenya, ambapo hizi kabila 42 pia zimezaa, ziko na wanaume. Tunataka kwa hizi kabila 42 pia kutoke kiongozi ule anaweza ongoza hii Kenya.
Mimi ilinifurahisha hasa kiujumla na pia kwa maoni ya wengi. Tulikuwa tukihitaji tupate rais anayeweza kuwachukua na kuwaunganisha wananchi wote wa Kenya, makabila zote za Kenya. Sio iwe uongozi uwe wa kabila mbili.
Some, however, seem to have a different opinion, noting the president's speech as an act of betrayal on his deputy.
Onye aliruka asala. Ikitu wangemaliza hii kitu kwanza. Wangemaliza maneno ile walikuwa wamepanga mbeleni, wangemaliza alafu kisha maliza waacha na maneno mengine.
President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech has signaled seeking support from across the country's many communities and not from one ethnic community, with some having their own notion of his sentiments. The recent political actions are a clear indication that the 2022 political temperature is on the rise. It is, however, not clear on who the head of state could be grooming to succeed him once his term ends. Majibu Kitsao for Switch TV.
Thank you, Majibu Kitsao. Moving on, the Mombasa County government has urged the striking health workers to return to work as the County Public Service Board continues to address their grievances. Addressing the press earlier today, Acting CC of Health, Dr. Nyongesa Nato, said since October last year, they have been addressing their concerns as they have already promoted 135 medical officers in line with their grade formula.
And His Excellency the Governor has given us the mandate to negotiate for the benefit of the medical staff and also for the people. We pray and we ask the medical staff to consider that common mwananchi and return to work even as we continue negotiating. And we are very sure that we open ourselves, we are open in our mind, we are not hiding any cards under the table, and we will do this for the sake of the people of Mombasa and also for the sake of our medical practitioners, which we value very highly.
Our wage bill is over 5 billion and growing as it is, because the health sector is actually carries the biggest share in our budget. It is our topmost priority. And the kind of services that we are working towards providing in the health sector, already we are having a cath lab, we have the radiology department, which are all going to require human resource. That means our wage bill will be further growing. And if 5 billion goes towards our wage bill, 2 billion is what is remaining for the county to divide between operations and maintenance, and at the same time, development expenditure for the county.
It is signed a return to work formula on the 2nd of October. And one of the issues, or one of what has been driven to, is actually the issue of promotions, the statutory deduction, and the NHIF super cover. However, we have been engaged the doctors in a lot of instances, especially on the same, because in the process of implementing the return to work formula, we experienced some challenges because of the job groups and all. It's not that the promotions have not been made. The promotions have started. But this is an ongoing process. The issue of reinstatement is not because before the dismissal, they were given show cause letters, and after the show cause letters, they were called for hearing. But the doctors never showed up. After that, that's when now we took the decision to do that. So even the issue of reinstatement, I don't think the county has a challenge with that. The fact that we are committed to the doctors, we are committed as well to the citizenry of Mombasa, because the person who is actually suffering is
Elsewhere, Turkana leaders held their annual Turkana leaders meeting where they spoke on education matters ailing the community. The leaders, led by Turkana Governor, talked on fastening the building process of Turkana West University, further calling on Magoha's Ministry of Education for help.
Mpaka tutatue shida hilo liko katika Turkana University. Na tusichukue mwaka moja, tusichukue miaka mbili, tusichukue miaka tatu. Tuwe hiyo shida in 1 month. Ama tutafanya yale viongozi wa Uasingishu walifanya.
Lakini tumesema kama itafika mwezi wa pili, kama bado hatujapata suluhisho, nimepatiwa mamlaka na viongozi kama MP wa Turkana Central kuongoza maandamano ya amani. Hayo nimepewa jana, kwa hivyo pengine itakuwa mara ya kwanza mimi kufanya maandamano. Nasema Sinde Murilo, rudisha watu yako wale ambao wanakula mshahara hapa bila kazi. Kwa sababu hawa watu ndio wanakula mshahara yetu, wanakula pesa watoto wetu, wanakula pesa ambayo serikali inatoa na hawafanyi kazi. Kwa hivyo mimi naambia Turkana, ile siku tasikia Mheshimiwa Pepe ameitisha maandamano, wewe ambatana mimi, lakini wewe amani.
With our story from Turkana County, we now take a short commercial break. Stay tuned, we'll be back with more. Back. And thank you for keeping it Switch TV. We are live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. And YouTube, we are live as Switch TV News. Send in your feedback to our SMS line 111 and it's Switch TV Kenya. The residents of Kakamega are asking the government to open the economy fully by getting rid of the curfew hours and allow Kenyans to conduct their businesses without restrictions. They've assured the government that so far they have learned to be responsible by following the protocols provided by the Ministry of Health. Take a look.
Lakini kwa sasa naona biashara zimeanza kurudi sawa. Naona ile kushtuka ya kitambo ama ile dalili za kitambo, watu wanakata kupanda gari ama ile uoga ya kubeba watu wakisafiri. Naona siku hizi mambo imeanza kurudi sawa.
Hilo ambayo ninaomba tu serikali ifungulie mambo ya kafi itoke. Sisi tuendelee na maisha jinsi tulivyokuwa tunaendelea, kwa sababu hata sisi wenyewe tumejua kujilinda, tunajikinga kulingana na vyenye serikali imetuamurisha na idara ya afya.
Nilikuwa ninasema kafyo isiendelee, kwa sababu ni kama maneno imerudi tu sawa, hata kila kitu saa hizi iko sawa.
Meanwhile, passenger traffic through Dubai airports in 2020 fell by 64% from the year before as travel restrictions imposed due to the coronavirus hammered tourism. The number of people passing through the airport was 17.9 million last year, according to the General Directorate of Residency and Foreigners Affairs in Dubai. That's down from 50.4 million in 2019, according to data from the government agency, while several European nations shut their airports again after the emergence of a new strain of the virus. Dubai has kept its borders open to all tourists since July. Let's now take a look at the weekly recap by John Kutunyi.
Higher exports of goods coupled with a decline in imports bill has driven up performance of Tanzania's external sector in the year ending November 20th, with the current account deficit dropping to $818.6 million from $1.6 billion for the year ending November 2019. In other stories, lack of custom transparency and proper inter-trade channels together with the use of outdated laws between countries are some of the challenges facing the new African Continental Free Trade Area Partnership, while Customs Organization WCO recommends agencies involved in border management to step in and play their part to boost inter-agency cooperation. And finally, 6 banks have warned of losses in this financial year, attributing it to the economic disruptions that led to non-performing loans. The lenders have in the past year cushioned Kenyans against the COVID-19 pandemic. Overall, 16 companies across sectors have so far issued a profit dip in 2019, and more companies are expected to do the same. Reporting for the weekly recap, my name is Joan Kuton.
Authorities have Police in Copenhagen have said that a total of 18 people have been arrested after scuffles broke out when anti-lockdown protest was broken out by the police in the Danish capital. Several hundred people had assembled for protests in the town hall square in central Copenhagen. The protest had been legally registered with the Danish authorities in advance and was therefore not subject to the restrictions on gatherings currently in place. Between 200 and 250 people had gathered in Copenhagen and dozens in the city Aalborg in Denmark's north, according to media reports citing police accounts organized by a group calling itself Men in Black. The demonstrations targeted restrictions imposed to curb the spread of the coronavirus. Also, authorities have pinpointed the location of 2 black boxes from a crashed Indonesian jet, they said Sunday, referring to cockpit voice and flight data recorders that could help explain why the aircraft went down with 62 people aboard. The announcement came as divers pulled body parts, wreckage and clothing from waters off Indonesia's capital Jakarta. The announcement came as divers pulled body parts, wreckage and clothing from the waters capital Jakarta. The Screwdriver Air Boeing 737-500 went into a steep dive about 4 minutes after it left.
The Search and Rescue Agency said it has so far collected 5 body bags with human remains as well as debris from the crash site in the Java Sea.
The National Military and the National Research and Rescue Agency, along with other parties, are pushing efforts to retrieve the black box, as we have not identified its position.
A piece of child's clothing, a broken tire and wheel, life jackets and wreckage from the plane's body were found, according to authorities. All 62 people on board, passengers and crew, were Indonesian. The count included 10 children. Distraught relatives waited nervously for news that the airport in Pontianak, the city on Indonesia's section of Borneo Island, which had been flight SJ 182's destination, about 90 minutes flying time over the Java Sea.
We have detected and continue monitoring 2 signals sent by the black box. We have marked the position. Hopefully, within a short time, we'll be able to take it in so that the National Transportation Safety Commission can identify the cause of the accident.
In October 2018, 189 people were killed when a Lion Air Boeing 737 MAX jet crashed near Jakarta. The crash and another in Ethiopia saw a Boeing with $2.5 billion in fines over claims it defrauded regulators overseeing the 737 MAX model, which was grounded worldwide following the 2 deadly crashes. The 26-year-old 737 that went down on Saturday was not a MAX variant. Indonesia's aviation sector has long had a reputation for poor safety, and its airlines were once banned from entering US and the European airspace. In 2014, an Air Asia plane headed from Surabaya to Singapore crashed with a loss of 162 lives. Domestic investigators' final report on that crash said major factors included a chronically faulty component in a radar control system, poor maintenance, and the pilot's inadequate response. A year later, in 2015, more than 140 people, including scores on the ground, were killed when a military plane crashed shortly after takeoff in Medan on Sumatra Island. Reporting for Switch TV, my name is Joan Kutuny.
Thank you, Joan Kutuny. Nursing home worker Sana El Kedri became the first person to get vaccinated against COVID-19 in the Netherlands. The country is the last one in the EU to launch its vaccination campaign.
The Netherlands has administered its first coronavirus shot to a nursing home worker, as it has become the last country in the 27-nation EU to start its vaccination program. The Dutch government has been under fire for its slow rollout of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, with Prime Minister Mark Rutte admitting this week that he was really disappointed.
It is an enormous achievement that it has already started here today. The European moment, yes, it was no longer possible to adjust the planning accordingly. That just has to do with all the careful steps we wanted to take. But today we succeeded in getting the vaccination started, and from today it will not stop until the last one is vaccinated.
The first person to be inoculated with the jab was 39-year-old nursing home worker Sana El Kadiri in a ceremony in the southern town of Vegel, attended by top Dutch officials. Health Minister Hugo de Jong has, however, said that it was an amazing moment.
Het voelt als eindelijk, eindelijk beginnen we.
It feels like finally you're only starting. But on the other hand, you have to say, we are already starting. It is 10 months after the crisis started here in Brabant, in this part of Netherlands. And that is very special that we must start here today with the end of the crisis.
The Netherlands has since mid-December been under its toughest lockdown since the pandemic began, with all schools and non-essential shops closed and people advised to stay at home. Majibu Kitsao for Switch TV.
A very good evening this 10th day of January 2021. My name is Cedric Oronje. Let's head straight to the fields where Kenyan trio of Solomon Boit, Evans Kipkemei and Kennedy Kimutai had a gist of the total great Ethiopian run, clinching the top position in the races. Kimutai was the first Kenyan athlete to cross the line, finishing 21st in 29:50.162. Boit occupied 27th spot after clocking 30:15.16, while Kipkemei settled for the 35th position, returning a time of 30:50.6. The annual race that attracted 12,500 athletes was an opportunity for the Ethiopian athlete lovers and elite athletes to run in the streets of Addis Ababa, being the first biggest sporting event held in the country since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic.
And a number of participants was not as we planned. We expect 50,000 participants this year, but because of COVID-19, we could have only 1/4 of the participants.
Last season's FA Cup runners-up Chelsea have returned to winning ways, comfortably beating League 2 Morecambe to reach the 4th round. England midfielder Mason Mount put a strong blue side ahead on his 22nd birthday from 25 yards. German forward Timo Werner doubled the lead from close range, his first club goal since 7th November. Before Callum Hudson-Odoi hit the third, Kai Havertz headed the fourth after meeting Cesar Spilicueta's cross.
Hudson-Odoi plays it to him. Now you've got to get out and close that ball. They don't get close enough to him.
Both have a nervous look across at the assistant, and of course have the facility to look at this. Nothing wrong with that part of it. To react there, just switched off. It was Phillips. Didn't really seem to be aware that Mount was closing in. Here's Ziyech. Oh, lovely pass from him. Hudson-Odoi makes it 3. They were looking for a flag, but it wasn't there.
Now, extra time goals from Emil Smith-Rowe and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang ensured title holders Arsenal beat a stubborn Newcastle in the FA Cup third round. Informed Smith-Rowe had an eventful evening after arriving as a second-half substitute, seeing a red card rightfully cancelled. Before opening the scoring, Aubameyang tapped in the second after a sleek move cut Newcastle open.
Oh, he has reversed the decision and he's given Emil Smith-Rowe a yellow card. Here's Emil Smith-Rowe with a chance, and finally a breakthrough is made. Now Tierney. Xhaka back to Tierney. That's a beautiful ball from Xhaka. And it's converted by Aubameyang, and that seals Arsenal's place in the 4th round of the FA Cup.
Scott McTominay's 4th minute header was enough to give Manchester United